Okay, I have a Jungle's Animals book sticker album here. Initially I thought these were cards when I first bought them. Actually, I just bought the stickers only. Then I realized there's a book associated with them, so now I have an extra set of stickers. And here are the stickers here. Apparently, I did have these stack of stickers as well. That was separate, but now I just have an extra set of stickers. So let me just open this up. And these are very old. Here you go. Here is the book associated with them. An index magazine. Looks like there are some toys as well. And these are where you would put the stickers. Number 1 is the hawk. I might just read this entire book, huh? The animals and us. What do a barred owl, a viper, and a peacock have in common? True, they are animals, but also they have all become part of our everyday language as ways of indicating different types of humans. Found in different parts of the world, even if at times in related species, the protagonists of this chapter provide a small example of how animals mirror human beings. There's much more to say about this, as we will see later on. Okay, that's the first picture for the sticker book. A hawk, bird of prey, which can even capture its quarry in mid-air by falling down upon it at high speeds and tearing it apart with its talons. Number 2 is the trout. Oh man, this is a big puzzle. These are not organized in any fashion. This is gonna take a while. I finally found number 2, which is the trout, a fish of the salmon genus, which is held in high esteem by gourmets. It lives in lakes and streams. Some species are from the sea. Okay, found number 3, the barn owl. Now these stickers are very high definition, which is really cool. Uh-oh, doesn't seem like it was cut properly. Okay, that took a while. Barn owl, a nocturnal bird of prey that stays hidden in old buildings during the day. Coming out at night to hunt rodents is synonymous with a foolish person. 4, which is the chipmunk. The main families, rodents, an extremely large family of mammals whose members have very strong chisel-shaped upper incisors. They are quite prolific and are found all over the world. Here is a chipmunk. Number 5 is a grasshopper. Its name comes from its long jump-propelling hind legs. They are exceptionally numerous in the tropics and are capable of destroying entire plantations. 6 is a peacock, and this is a white peacock, which is really pretty to look at. A bird which is indigenous to Africa and Asia. It is valued in the West for its feathers, and also because it is a prime attraction in zoos. It is a symbol of vanity. 7 is a barred owl, a nocturnal European bird of prey because it remains completely immobile during the day. Even if it is disturbed, it has acquired the notoriety of being a stupid animal. That's not very nice. 8 is a dragonfly. Its eyes cover its face, giving it phenomenal vision. Its elegance is breathtaking. 9 is a hornet, or bee. That does say 9, right? 9. Looks like a hornet to me. The main families, Hymenopterous insects. Their individual cleverness and their complex social structure make these the most highly evolved insects. They have membranous rings, compound eyes, and short antennae. They are divided into the Symphyta, the Thrips, and the Aculeata, whose typical specimen is the bee. Number 10 is the Arabian horse. Arabian horse, used in ancient times to cover large distances very quickly. Now it dominates race courses and riding schools. It is a symbol of freedom. 11 is the toad, and I think that's a tomato frog or a Pac-Man frog or toad. I wish they actually gave the actual species name. An amphibian present all over the world in many different species. It has horizontal eyes and skin covered with warts. Since it is so ugly, its name is used derogatorily. 12 is the salamander. An amphibian, which has venomous glands on its body that can cause reddening upon contact. Legend holds that it can live in fire, but that isn't true. I wonder who tested that theory out. 13 is a praying mantis. Really interesting praying mantis. I wonder if it's just the red lighting. An insect very well known for its sinister practices. The female, in addition to being a great predator, devours the male immediately after mating with him. 14 is a viper. A snake present in Europe, Asia, and Africa. It populates various environments because its bite is poisonous. Venomous. I should say it's venomous. It is used to refer to malicious and quick-tempered people. 15 is a scorpion. The European specimens are not aggressive. They only sting humans in self-defense, causing slight discomfort. We got the albatross. Has the greatest wingspread, more than 3 meters. That's a really big bird. Europe. In spite of some obvious differences between North and South, the panorama of European fauna is relatively uniform in the following pages. We will mainly focus in on the animals that live in the forests and in the high mountains, with a few exceptions of the inhabitants of the sky and of the coast. For 17, we have a marten, a carnivore whose coat is highly valuable. It's an excellent hunter and it sometimes commits massacres in the henhouse. Oh geez. We got the lynx, extinct in Italy and in other countries. It is famous for its vision, its coat, and its elongated ears, which end in a little tuft of fur. 19 is a dormouse, a rodent which has the well-deserved fame of being a sleepyhead. However, it is extremely active when it is awake. For number 20, we have a wild boar, an ancestor of the pig. It is widespread in forested areas. It has a bristly coat and the male has powerful tusks. For 21, we have wolf, in danger of extinction and already gone from many areas. It lives in packs. It captures its prey after a lengthy chase and then kills it either alone or with its companions. Now we have the fox, a carnivore which is extremely active only at night, remaining hidden in its den during the day. It often chooses to live in abandoned badger's den rather than build one of its own. Number 23 is the marmot, a large rodent that lives predominantly in groups in the high mountains. It closes up the entrance to its den with various materials in order to avoid freezing to death. 24 is reindeer. This one has a leash on it, pretty interesting. A large deer used by humans in the Arctic regions as a draught animal and as a source of meat, milk, and hides. Otter is number 25, a carnivore with a highly valued coat. It lives along watercourses and is a very skillful swimmer thanks to its flat tail. We have a red deer, a ruminant that can be up to 1.5 meters tall at the withers. The male has magnificent antlers that, as they grow back each year, become more and more branched. 27 is fallow deer, smaller than other deers. It has broader spatulate antlers. There are light patches on its coat which become darker in the autumn. 28 is mouflon, a small sheep that lives in the remote mountains of Sardinia and Corsica. It is threatened by extinction. 29 is Sardinian fallow deer. Sardinian fallow deer, it's in danger of extinction, although once it was also common in Corsica. Now there are only a few hundred specimens in Sardinia. Ibex is number 30, a high-altitude wild goat that was once present all over the Alps. Nowadays, this goat can be found only in a few Italian national parks. 31 is salmon, a migratory fish which travels from Europe to Greenland and Canada, often making its way up rapids and waterfalls by performing leaps of more than 3 meters. Peregrine falcon is number 32. The records. The peregrine hawk is the fastest, 350 kilometers per hour. Asia, the largest and the most populous continent, has obviously a great and varied wealth of animal species. The type of animals that live in each area depends on the zone's latitude, climate, and vegetation. One passes from the taiga, the Serbian forest, to the inaccessible high plains of the Pamir, from the Caucasian deserts to the extremely green, tangled tropical and subtropical areas of the Indian Ocean, and so on. It makes sense then that the faunistic panorama here is like a rich gold mine waiting to be discovered and safeguarded. Gray heron, kingfisher for 34. 35 is a hoopoe. 36 golden eagle. 37 is Anduin's gull. 38 is an osprey. 39 is a monk seal. Number 40 is a Barbary ape. 41 is a black panther. 42 is an Asiatic elephant. 43 is a snow leopard. Number 44 is a dromedary, but it looks like a camel. I wonder if that's another name for camel. 45 is a water buffalo. He's got a really messy hairstyle. There are 2 stickers for the tiger. This is one of them. Here is a white tiger with a statue. Very cool. White tiger there. 48 is the yak. Gray heron. This member of the Eridaeidae family is more than 1 meter long. It's rather common in Europe. It makes its nest and resides in colonies in swampy regions. 34. It lives near rivers and ponds. It feeds on the fish, crustaceans, and mollusks that it catches by diving into the water. Hoopoe. 35. Widespread in Eurasia and Africa. It is unmistakable because of the crest on its head, which stands on end when it is scared or inquisitive. It nests in abandoned tree hollows. 36. Golden eagle, a large bird of prey whose wing spread can measure up to 2 meters. It lives in the high mountains feeding on other birds and lambs. Lambs? Oh geez. That's a really pretty picture as well. All these pictures are really nice. Anduin's gull, 37, not too different from the other gulls. There are, however, few specimens of this type, and they live exclusively on the small islands of the Mediterranean region. The main families, Falconidae birds, present on every continent except Antarctica. They have hooked beaks and powerful talons with which they capture live prey, either in mid-air or on the ground. They are excellent hunters like the osprey. Monk seal, the only Mediterranean pinnate. It is in extreme danger of extinction despite the fact that it is rigorously protected by the laws of the countries in which it lives. Barbary ape, the only European monkey. It inhabits the rocks of Gibraltar across from Africa. It has no tail, but it has a thick reddish coat. It is intelligent and sturdy. I don't know what sturdy means. Black panther. It is actually a leopard with excessive pigmentation. It is rather common on Java and on nearby islands. The records. The pregnancy of the Asiatic elephant is the longest, 20 months. Wonder what the blue whale is. I feel like the blue whale would be long. Snow leopard. It lives in the high mountains of Central Asia, eating birds, rodents, and wild goats. It's one of the most beautiful felines. It is really pretty. Dromedary, an indispensable companion of human, living in inhospitable steppes and deserts. Its ability to endure hardships and exhausting labor is truly exceptional. Water buffalo, it lives primarily in the swampy areas of southern Asia and is used for work in the rice fields. Tiger, an unmistakable feline whose vertical stripes enable it to easily camouflage itself in the jungle. I feel like the white one would have kind of trouble there. Yak, it can be up to 1.9 meters tall at the withers. It is covered with a thick coat and it lives in the Tibetan high plains at altitudes of 6,000 meters or more. That's really high up. Africa. Deserts and savannas, towering mountains, and rainforests. Although Africa is generally characterized by high temperatures, it is after all nearly cut in half by the equator. This fascinating continent hosts quite varied faunistic and climatic environments. While it is unfortunately a paradise for big game hunters, it is also the perfect land for those who love unspoiled nature and free-roaming, uninhibited wild animals. So if you notice, I left this spot blank because it says 53, right? That looks like a Japanese macaque. My finger is still here. It says 53, which is not a snub-nosed langur. It's a Japanese macaque. It definitely looks like one. That also kind of looks like a Japanese macaque too. Maybe slightly different variation. But if I go to look at the snub-nosed, that's a snub-nosed monkey, which is not number 53. Also, the red shank duok doesn't exactly look like that either. So I think there's a mistake. I'm gonna leave that blank and come back to it, because it seems right now it looks like there's 2 Japanese macaques. That's what it looks like. Okay, so there might be a reason why you're wondering why I left that blank. It's because that says an African mongoose in 68 here. This is a picture of a meerkat, I believe. And then I found an actual mongoose here, but I guess they're related to each other, because when I look it up on the interwebs, meerkats also pop up. So I guess they're related as cousins, related species. So I will proceed to put the meerkat in the African mongoose spot. And if you go a couple pages to page, there's a second spot for mongoose as well. Voila. Caracal, a lynx whose tawny coat is crossed by 2 stripes going from the animal's nostril to its ears. It's an excellent runner. Camel, domesticated by humans since time immemorial. It is also reared for its meat, its hide, and its milk. It has, however, a less than ideal disposition. Gecko, a desert animal that exists in more than 500 species. It's the only reptile truly able to communicate vocally. It is able to give out a wide range of sounds. That's a really cute gecko, I'll be honest. African mongoose, a South African carnivore which also eats roots and bulbs. It's small and it uses its strong claws to dig into the earth in search of food. Hyrax, a mammal that lives in the arid and rocky areas of South Africa. It is diurnal and it feeds mainly on fruits and vegetables, but also on dried foods. The main families are Pterodactyls, an order of herbivores, mammals having hoof-like nails. They don't have a first digit, and their second and fifth digits are either non-existent or are reduced in size. They are divided into the Cetidae, the Tylopoda, and the ruminants, represented by the extremely graceful impala. Jackal, a member of the Canidae family that is rather widespread in Africa. It eats the leftovers from lions' meals, but it is also a hunter. Shrew mouse, an insect-eating African mammal the size of a mouse. Its hind legs are very long and its nose is snout-like. It's a very cute little mouse. Lion, it is the king of the jungle, even though it actually lives in wooded savannas. African elephant, it is the largest terrestrial land mammal and is mercilessly hunted for its ivory tusks. The main family's carnivores, mammals which obviously live on meat. They have very well developed canines that allow them to easily tear their prey to pieces. They also have retractile claws. Head of the family is the lion. Spotted hyena, an African carnivore having the well-deserved fame of being the desert's road sweeper. Although it actually also eats live prey, cadavers are its specialty. Eared vulture, a bird of prey with a wingspread of about 3 meters. It lives primarily on carrion, but it doesn't hesitate to attack live animals as well. Warthog, a kind of African wild boar. It is unusually ugly. Its face is disfigured, warty, and full of lumps, and its coat is stiff and bristly. They don't come any uglier than this. That's not very nice. Gerenuk, it has a long neck that allows it to eat acacia leaves. It gets up on its hind legs and puts its forelegs on the branch. Gnu, or the wildebeest, an ox whose body is similar to that of a horse. It lives in packs in the African savannas, moving around frequently in search of food. It has a sort of fetlock on its chin. The records, the cheetah is the fastest mammal. It runs at up to 110 kilometers per hour. African wild dog, really cute ears. A canine that lives in packs eating antelopes and other animals. There are irregular stains on its coat which are present from the animal's second month on. Grant's gazelle, really long horns. It lives in the savannah. It is much sought after prey of the carnivores, but its speed often saves its life. Leopard, it is the smallest of the large felines, an agile climber. It spends a lot of time in the trees, using them as trampolines from which to pounce down upon its prey. White rhinoceros, Actually, it isn't white, but rather light gray. It lives south of the equator and is the largest rhinoceros. Black rhinoceros, its horns, like those of its white cousin, are made of corneous fibers similar to those that commonly make up hair. Cervo, it is not very big, but it is slender and extremely agile. It is a nocturnal predator that also commits massacres in the farmyards near the savannah. The use of the word massacre, man. Greater kudu, an antelope with corkscrew horns. It lives in large groups in the plains and the hills of South Central Africa, a heavily populated area. Sable antelope, that's a really cool antelope. It can be up to 1.3 meters tall at the withers. Its blood relative, the blue buck, is now extinct after having been excessively and absurdly hunted for years. I wonder what the blue buck looks like. Water buck, it is also found throughout Central and Southern Africa. It is completely nocturnal. Its males, as with all antelopes, have horns. The main families, perissodactyls, herbivorous mammals whose phalanges are covered with a hoof. They put all of their body weight onto their middle digit. They are divided into the rhinoceros, the tapirs, and the equids, to which the zebra belongs. Equids are probably horses. Zebra, widespread in southeastern Africa. It lives in packs with gazelles and antelopes, but never with zebras of different races. Really, I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures with different species. Lesser kudu, an African member of this huge antelope family. It is very similar to the greater kudu, except that its horns are not as imposing and majestic. Impala, 2 pictures, 1 fighting, really cool. This actually kind of cute. An agile leaper which lives in numerous packs in savannas near watercourses in southeastern Africa. The adult male has lyre-shaped horns. Mongoose, a carnivore inhabiting tropical regions. It has a beautiful gray coat. It's an excellent snake hunter. Crowned crane, a bird indigenous to Africa. It is now found in zoos worldwide. It has a beautiful top knot of feathers on its head. Really cool crown. Ostrich, it is the biggest bird. It reaches 2.5 meters. The male alternates with the female in the brooding of the eggs. Nice. Helmeted guinea fowl. Gastronomes appreciate its meat. It sleeps in the trees and flies away if it feels threatened. It looks like it's wearing a robe or a cape. Dwarf greenon, a small-sized tree-dwelling monkey that lives in the forests of Africa. It has a characteristically long tail. Guys, looking at the butt. The records, the giraffe, 6 or 7 meters tall, is the tallest animal. Hippopotamus, a mammal that has over the centuries adapted itself to aquatic life. It lives in packs in rivers and lakes, but at night it goes to the shore to eat the vegetation. Pygmy hippopotamus, only a little bigger than a pig. It is very different from its brother except in size. It is quite rare and is definitely in danger. Really cute, got a cute face. Chimpanzees, the main families, primates. Man also belongs to this order. The chimpanzee is our close relative. Its origins date back very far and its main characteristics come from the adaptation to life in the trees. Marabou, a stork from sub-Saharan Africa. It lives on carrion but doesn't spurn the rubbish on the outskirts of villages. Hamadryad, held sacred by the ancient Egyptians. It lives in multi-family packs led by the strongest male. Mandrill, it lives in small groups in the forests of Nigeria and Cameroon. Its face is unmistakable because of its gaudy colors. Looks very menacing. Galago, a very small nocturnal African monkey. It has a round head, large eyes and ears, small hands and prehensile feet. Very cute little thing. Baboon, it lives in packs in rocky areas, in savannas, and in grasslands. During the day, it roams around in search of food, while at night it takes refuge in tall trees. Gorilla, found only in certain tropical forests. It is the largest monkey. It isn't very prolific and it lives in small groups led by a male. North America, we imagine that before the arrival of the Europeans 500 years ago, this was an immense wild kingdom where enormous herds of bison, families of grizzly bears, and huge eagles contended with each other for supremacy. Then the so-called civilization arrived and reduced the open spaces for animals to roam, confining them to ever smaller areas. The local populations, however, are very sensitive to ecological problems, and the first national park was created more than a century ago. So for 112, it says 112. Here we go, 112. That's a slow loris. And well, I looked it up. Here you go. Kind of looks the same, right? And this is just based off pure memory too. So I'm surprised I like recognize a lot of these animals. Lemurs are similar, but they're not in the same species. They're like the same subcategory, I think. So for 121, right there, that's not an elk, that's a moose. And well, I had to look it up, but that's an elk and that's a moose. Because the moose has like paddles, like antlers. They're like flat, while this is more branched out. Moose and elk. So yeah, this is another mistake. This book has a lot of mistakes. I had already put the sticker in, but that said hammerhead. It might be another name for the shoebill stork, which I have pictured right here. Not sure, but I just crossed that out and said shoebill stork. I didn't see anywhere where it said hammerhead bird, so it might be another mistake. Slow loris, a primitive group of nocturnal monkeys of Madagascar. During the day, it sleeps in tree hollows. And I wrote that down instead of lemur. The description described kind of a slow loris too. Sifka, a little monkey of the forests of Madagascar. It's a diurnal vegetarian and it lives in groups in the trees. Ruffed lemur, it is the largest and perhaps the prettiest of the lemurs. Its body is 50 centimeters long, as is its tail. It is in serious danger of extinction. Chameleon, a reptile classified into numerous species. In all of the species, the animal's skin color changes in response to its state of mind and to the degree of illumination. The records, the mouse lemur is the smallest monkey, which I had to Google that because I thought this was the smallest monkey. Pygmy marmoset, super cute. The shoebill stork, it is famous for its highly original bill. It lives in the papyrus-filled marshes of the upper right Nile, which is, kind of true. It lives in marshes in the Africa. Ring-tailed lemur, a lemur that lives on fruit and buds. It has a very long, characteristic black and white ringtail. Bald eagle, an impressively large bird of prey that is the symbol of the United States. It's considered endangered and is protected in preserves in various states. Rocky Mountain goat, it lives in packs in the Rocky Mountains. Its spotless coat differentiates it from Europe's goats. Moose, it can be up to 2 meters tall at the withers. The male has powerful antlers that it uses during violent struggles to win a female in mating season. Beaver, a large rodent that lives along the shores of lakes and rivers on which it builds amazingly complex dams. It has a broad, flat tail that helps its swimming ability. Brown bear, in spite of its name, the color of its coat varies from tawny to gray to brown. It's a vegetarian when it's young, but becomes omnivorous as it gets older. Don't think it's true. I think I've seen them eat salmon, the babies, but maybe not. Raccoon, a carnivore of the forest. Because it lacks salivary glands, it dips its food into water before eating it. Interesting. Muskox, an herbivore that lives in the extreme north. Its thick coat enables it to survive even amidst the glaciers. North American bison, a giant bison which was fiercely hunted by settlers all throughout the 19th century. Virginia possum, an extremely prolific marsupial that is widespread in North America. It's omnivorous and has a prehensile tail. Rocky Mountain sheep, this wild sheep of the Rockies, the backbone of North America, has become scarce because it has been hunted for its hide and its horn. Coyote, it lives in the prairie and is considered the transition link between the wolf and the jackal. Its howl is unmistakable as it has been heard so many times in films. Doll sheep, a close relative of the Rocky Mountain sheep. The coat of this animal in its most common species is snow white. It populates the mountains in North America. Glutton, another name for wolverine, an extremely voracious carnivore that lives in extremely cold areas. It eats all types of animals. It is hunted for its coat as well as for the farmyard massacres it commits. Caribou, a close parent of the reindeer. Although smaller in size, it is herbivorous, and in winter it feeds almost exclusively on the lichens that it finds by digging under the ice. Sea otter, a mammal of the Pacific coast, it spends a lot of time in the sea. It's even able to sleep in the water by floating on its back. The main families, vertebrates covered with scales and bony sections. They have pulmonary respiration and cold blood. Because their bodies can neither release nor create heat, they always maintain a constant temperature. Some such as the iguana are adorned with crests. Puma, it lives in the prairies of temperate regions and in the forests of the Rocky Mountains and the Andes. It is scared of humans and assaults them only when attacked. Really slender cat. Acorn woodpecker. During mating season, the male pecks his beak against a tree to gain the attention of the female. Bobcat, a carnivore about 1 meter long that captures its prey by pouncing down on top of it from the trees. It isn't rare, but it is hunted for its valuable coat. Prairie dog, a North American rodent with a very strong jaw. It lives in large groups in underground dens, which are really like miniature cities, kind of like meerkats. Anteater, a mammal that can be recognized by its long tubular snout. At the end of this snout, it is a sticky, extractable tongue. What does it eat? Look over here on the side. Leafcutter, the favorite food of the anteater. It digs vast nests in the ground. It is extremely fond of leaves and can thus do great damage to agriculture. South America, having such diverse environments as the steep peaks of the Andes in the west, the extremely dense forests of the east, and the boundless plains of the south. South America still holds tremendous unexplored treasures. The Amazon forest, which is the green lung of our planet, is constantly threatened by economic speculation and human stupidity. South America, with its tangled lianas, its enormous rivers, and its indigenous populations that are losing their habitat, continues to possess new mysteries and undepleted riches. Let's now try to take a peek at some of them. Great blue heron, a wading bird of the swamp. It has long legs that enable it to move around easily in search of food in low and stagnant waters. Trumpet swan, protected in North American national parks. It inhabits rivers, lakes, and ponds. It migrates towards the coast in winter in search of a warmer climate. California condor, extremely rare. It once populated the coast of the Pacific. It's not dangerous to humans. Flamingo, a very long-legged bird which lives in coastal lagoons and saltwater lakes in America, Africa, and Eurasia. Corn snake, a solid-toothed American snake lacking the grooves that enable poisonous snakes to put their deadly serum into the flesh of their victims. American alligator, a reptile of the Rio Grande and the Mississippi that is similar to the crocodile. It has a Chinese colleague that is nearly extinct. It can be up to 6 meters long. Its name comes from the rattle made of horny rings that when in motion makes a rattling sound. It is quite poisonous. Scarlet ibis, a splendid bird with fiery red feathers. It is now strictly protected by the Latin American countries after having been hunted for a long time. Hummingbird, it's able to remain immobile in midair and to fly backwards by flapping its wings extremely rapidly. Macaw, it's the largest parrot. It can be up to 1 meter long. It lives in the rainforests of tropical America. Red-tailed boa, the snake is usually more than 3 meters long. It isn't dangerous for humans unless it's attacked. Tarantula of the United States, a type of equatorial spider whose females carry their eggs in an external sac. When the eggs open, the little babies climb up onto the mother. Or breathing spider, an invertebrate whose body is divided into a cephalothorax and an abdomen. It's a great weaver of webs in which it catches insects. Leopard frog, there are myriads of types of frogs that live in the world's humid and swampy areas. This species is found in the Amazon forest. The records, the crocodile is the longest reptile. Some are more than 8 meters long. Andean condor. It is found all throughout the Andes and lives at amazingly high altitudes. Like nearly all of the members of its family, it feeds on carrion. Guanaco, a kind of llama that lives in the wild in the Andes at altitudes of more than 3,500 meters. It certainly isn't afraid of heights. Alpaca, its fleece, less fine than that of the vicuna, is used to make rugs, hats, and fur coats. The Incas used to make clothing from its wool. Llama, a mammal of the Camelidae family, it was already domesticated in Incan times. Like the camel, it spits when annoyed. The records, the capybara, is the heaviest rodent. It can weigh up to 110 kilograms. Kinkajou, a carnivore of the raccoon family, it's tree-dwelling and nocturnal. It has a long prehensile tail and little red legs. Nine-banded armadillo, an edentulous mammal. It is wrapped with scaly belts. It eats insects, thereby involuntarily helping farmers. Margay, a small tree-dwelling member of the felids. It's 1 meter long, including the tail. It lives between Mexico and Argentina. Central American tapir, a type of pig with a short snout, it inhabits Southeast Asia and America. The specimen shown here is referred to as a mountain cow. This isn't really a large family since there are only 2 races in it, one of which is Darwin's rhea. It does, however, fairly represent that group of birds, one of which is the ostrich, that walks because it is unable to fly. Squirrel monkey, a graceful monkey that has the alarming nickname of Head of Death, even though it has a cheerful, pleasant disposition. Golden lion tamarin, an extremely rare Brazilian specimen whose name derives from its thick and colored mane. Spider monkey, its exceptionally long arms give it its name. These arms enable it to perform daring and spectacular acrobatics. A South American mammal that lives exclusively in the trees. It's a vegetarian. It moves slowly and it is in no way capable of walking on the ground. Ocelot, similar to the margay, except that it's better known and longer. In fact, it's about 1.4 meters long. Its coat is very beautiful. Jaguar, a typical feline of tropical America. It primarily lives along the banks of rivers because that's where its prey is abundant. It's an agile climber and jumper. Oceania, a myriad of islands grouped around an island continent, Australia, full of faunistic and natural peculiarities. The duck-billed platypus, a bizarre animal collage, could only have been born here, straddling its past recollections, its prehistoric legacy, and a future whose course remains a mystery. Oceania is presently the continent whose ecology has been damaged the least. Let's enjoy its oddities. Magnificent frigate bird. The male has a sac under its throat that becomes red and swollen during the reproduction period. That's a vibrant red throat. Toucan, a tropical bird unmistakable because of its oversized beak. In spite of its size, the beak is extremely light and is perfect for breaking open the bird's beloved fruit. Pelican, a large bird that lives in warm and temperate zones all over the world. Typical of this bird is its long bill, which it uses like a net to catch fish. A hinga, its appearance and practices are similar to those of the cormorant. It folds up its long neck when underwater and then slaps it out when it sees a fish that it can capture. Blue-footed booby, it lives in the eastern Pacific between Mexico and Peru. It's one of the birds that contribute to the formation of guano with their own excrement. Very vibrantly blue foot. Marine iguana, a reptile that spends time both on land and in the sea. It primarily feeds on seaweed, which it gets by gracefully diving underwater. Giant Galapagos turtle, this impressively large reptile can weigh up to 200 kilograms, although it was fiercely hunted during the last century. Now it is protected. Sea elephant, a member of the elephant family that can be up to 6 meters long. It lives on crustaceans and fish. The males have a snout that becomes larger if the animal is annoyed. Okay, don't annoy that. Kangaroo, a vegetarian marsupial whose large hind legs enable it to jump with great agility. Tasmanian devil, a carnivore of the rocky areas of Oceania. It would look like a bear cub if its teeth weren't so sharp that they made you shiver. Musky rat kangaroo, a little carnivore of the Australian expanses. It could look like a rat if it didn't have such long hind legs. Who does it remind you of? Croca, a small herbivorous marsupial that lives in swamps or near watercourses in Australia. It's a distant relative of the kangaroo. Very cute. Wallaby, a small to medium-sized marsupial. It has a horny growth on the tip of its tail, similar substance to a fingernail. Interesting. Echidna, a mammal of the Monodromata group. It is typically Australian and its body is covered with oculi. It's a nocturnal insect eater and inhabits bushy or arid areas. Flying fox, a mammal of the Chiroptera group. It has a large wingspread. Its coat is tawny or yellowish and it has no tail. Dingo, a nocturnal canine that lives in groups of 3 or 4. The Aborigines use it when hunting wild rabbits. The immense polar zone. The North and South Poles also give birth to and host living things, even if they are quite unhospitable to humans. Numerous types of animals are in fact adapted to live in these inaccessible latitudes and can live in areas colder than we can imagine. While their lives may not be easy, they can at least pride themselves on having complete control over their own territories. Duck-billed platypus, a truly atypical mammal. It lays eggs instead of giving birth to live offspring. It looks very odd, like a cross between a duck, a rat, and a beaver. Kiwi, a bird that has no wings. Its nostrils are at the tip of its bill rather than on its head. For this reason, this bird has a keen sense of smell which it uses to look for food. And I kind of ripped that by mistake. Koala, hunted for its soft fur for many years. It is now protected. It always lives in eucalyptus trees. Bird of paradise. Its name comes from the beauty of its feathers. It populates the forests of Australia and Indonesia. Emu. It lives only in Australia in little flocks. Although it's unable to fly, it is very fast. It can go up to 50 kilometers per hour. Australian cassowary, like the ostrich, it can't fly even though it's a bird. It has a characteristic bony helmet on its forehead. Takahi, an extremely rare bird of New Zealand, which is similar to a small turkey. It has brilliant green-blue feathers and a sharp red frontal shield. Australian frilled lizard, a tree-dwelling reptile. It has a sort of little cape around its neck that stands up as an intimidation device if the animal feels threatened. Polar bear, one of the largest carnivores. It's a superb swimmer and populates even those polar regions in which it would seem impossible to live. Arctic fox, it lives in the Arctic zones. While darker in the summer, it becomes snow white in the winter. Arctic hare, it is larger size than the common rabbit. In adapting to the high latitudes over the centuries, its fur has become snow white. Gray-lag goose, a large migratory bird that can be up to 90 centimeters long. This snow goose makes its nest in even the most barren parts of the tundra. Walrus, a mammal of the circumpolar coast. Typical of the walrus are its splendid ivory tusks that, when full grown, can be up to a meter long. Arctic wolf, it lives in numerous packs in the Arctic zone, thriving on the lack of human settlements. The records, the grizzly bear is the heaviest carnivore, 700 kilograms. The immense ocean. Most of the planet is covered with water, mainly salt water. The ocean seems like an inexhaustible source of life, but reoccurring ecological disasters make us fear for its health, as well as for our own. Oil tankers that spill death into the water, mucilages, chemical pollution, and it just can't get much worse than this. Let's save this sea of ours, as well as this earth, before it's too late. Humans barely know the creatures and the beauties of the underwater world. Let's go and get to know them a little better, and then just maybe we'll become more respectful towards them. The main families, Chiroptera, a huge order of mammals better known as bats. The anterior limbs are quite large and they have extremely long digits upon which a membrane covering the patagium is spread. This covering allows them to fly. They are the only flying vertebrates, not including the birds. Arctic tern, similar to but smaller than a seagull, it migrates great distances. It catches all types of prey, either by diving into the water or by laying in wait on the surface. Chinstrap penguin, a bird found with various subspecies only in the Australian hemisphere. It is far from being endangered and lives in colonies with thousands of other specimens. Seal, a pinnet that prefers cold water. It is at the center of a violent quarrel between environmentalists and hunters all over the way in which it is killed. The records, the blue whale is the largest animal. It can be up to 35 meters long. Macaroni penguin, a small penguin characterized by the cute plume of feathers on its head. It's excellent at fishing. Common puffin, it's similar to the penguin, but it lives along the coast of the northern Atlantic. Beluga, a little white dolphin that inhabits the Arctic seas, feeding on crustaceans and fish. It is extremely intelligent and is highly sought after as a zoo attraction. The main families, crustaceans, invertebrates with an external skeleton and supple joints. They are aquatic and are prevalently marine dwelling. They are difficult to classify because of the substantial changes that even the adult specimens go through. They are solitary and can pinch like the hermit crab. Blue whale, an enormous mammal of the cetacean family. It is at the center of a ferocious debate between hunters and ecologists who defend this whale with a drawn sword. Swordfish, the fish lives in all of the world's salt water. It is 5 meters long and has a very long snout that ends in a kind of sword. Its meat is exquisite. Shark, found in all of the world. There are about 30 types living in the Mediterranean. They don't usually attack humans, but it's safer to keep your distance anyway. Orca, also known as a killer whale because it isn't exactly a vegetarian. It's found all over the world, but it prefers the freezing Arctic waters. The main families, bony fish. This is the most numerous group of fish made up of those specimens that have a full-boned skeleton. By skeleton, we mean those little bones that give fish eaters so much trouble. Regardless, no one would put a piranha on the table. Cape gannet, it captures its prey by diving into the water, and it has a loud voice. During the day, the male makes low whistling sounds, while at night it yells loudly. Sea lion or odory, the male has a coat that is drawn out around the neck, creating a sort of mane. Great white heron, a well-known bird, also referred to as an egret. During the last century, it was hunted for its enchanting feathers used to make hats for women. Barracuda, a fish found along the coast of tropical seas. It's an excellent swimmer and a voracious carnivore, using its sharp, incisive teeth. Dolphin, a marine carnivore of the cetacean family. It's intelligent and lively and is easily trained by humans to perform clever tricks. Sea turtle, its body is enclosed in a shell or carapace. It can remain underwater for more than an hour thanks to its strong respiratory system. Clownfish, it lives along the coral reefs of Malaysia and Indonesia, seeking refuge amidst the sea anemone. Its beautiful colors are reminiscent of a clown costume. Eagle ray, a fish that is similar to the skate. There are various species of this fish in the Mediterranean. It is between 30 centimeters and 2 meters long. Cuttlefish, a mollusk that has 10 tentacles and a large number of suckers. It is sought after for its meat and for its bones, which are used for a wide variety of purposes. Starfish, an invertebrate echinoderm, which is found in salt water all over the world. It isn't rare, as it can be seen in even the world's dirtiest port cities. Butterfly fish, a typical fish of the tropical coral reefs. It has broad fins, filamentous stingers, and colors that enable it to easily camouflage itself. Yellow spotted stingray, a very beautiful cartilaginous fish which is similar to the skate and which lives in the waters of the Caribbean. Its body is bizarre with funny blue spots. Anglerfish, it has a long appendage on its large head and it uses this to attract live prey while remaining half buried in mud or sand. Sea slug, shellless mollusks from the gastropods group. They are like a sort of sea slug without a shell. They are wonderful looking but are very rarely seen. Main families cartilaginous fish. Unlike the bony fish, this group has skeletons made of cartilage. They are therefore not very robust and cannot swim very fast. Regardless, these fish, like the manta rays shown in sticker 233, are fascinating. Jellyfish, a coelenterate that has a characteristic mushroom shape. Contact with it can cause a sort of electrical jolt that burns the skin. Moray, a fish with a pointed snout, sharp teeth, and a snake-like body. It lives in tropical and subtropical waters. Its bite can be deadly. Seahorse, a strange fish that uses its prehensile tail to hook onto marine vegetation. It always keeps its body erect. Octopus, an 8-tentacled mollusk found in all of the world's seas. It's a superb predator that feeds on crabs and crayfish. Lobster, a large crustacean that fishermen catch by baiting bow nets with fresh fish. It has scary pincers which are called chillas. Nautilus, a Pacific Ocean mollusk. It's the last survivor of a species which is about 180 million years old. Sometimes it produces semi-precious pearls.